2. Recorded live.
Hello, everyone. So it will be Ambika and Faye tonight.
An Ambika and Faye show again.
Yes, indeed. And what we really want to kind of focus on is from the Zebulon channeling, especially any sharing that anyone has to do of experiences that they have had or difficulties that they have had or any confusion regarding that. We can maybe assist in that way, hopefully. And so that's kind of going to be our focus.
Yeah, we're really curious if some of you already went to that chaotic spectacular. We think it would be beautiful to share about this.
And the other thing, too, is just to test if everyone can hear us okay, since we have had sound issues. So we just want to be sure that our voices are clear. And also anything that anyone has that is coming up that's outside the realms of the Zebulon channeling, of course, we're open to that, but it would be nice to stay focused on that as much as possible, as much as any of you out there have any concerns or confusion or whatever, as we had said before.
We also, again, want to do the callers, try to do that. And we hope that it's going to work today, so maybe we can share some things on the air as well, not only on the message board.
Exactly. So, anyway, I guess we can kind of share some of the things that we have gone through since listening to the Zebulon channeling. And if you want to discuss like maybe our initial reactions to right after we heard the channeling, how it impacted us initially.
Well, when we heard it the first time, we were kind of like not really immediately getting what it had said. I have to say, for me, that especially came after the second time, that I really realized what was said in that channeling, and then especially the part about that we are now in those days till the 20th, and we have this chance to really be done with the whole personality thing.
Exactly, or at least the bulk of it, at any rate. And then also the mass personality, too. And I don't know how many of you have had a chance to listen to the Ziona channeling that was done last fall. But I did re-listen to that and found it interesting that the way that she was talking about consciousness, or actually I think it wasn't in that channeling. Jeshua had a little bit of a preview of what's going to come in her message. So I'll share this with you because it does pertain. I thought it was interesting in that we have been referring to mass consciousness, but what we've actually been referring to as mass consciousness is mass personality.
Yes.
So we're getting ready to move into a time of going into mass consciousness. As we begin to move in that direction, then everyone else will become a mass consciousness. But what we've actually been tapping to all this time is mass personality, which is kind of an interesting slant to things when you think that it's always been like, you know, somehow our hearts or our spirits have been connected and we've been able to tap into that in both the positive and the negative ways has kind of been how I had interpreted it anyway, rather than it's just personality and we've been being fooled by the good and the bad through it all along. So,
and I think what was interesting there was also how that had changed in the years. Like at first it was about love, and then it was about joy that was taken away again, and then it was about freedom.
Exactly.
And that's now.
Exactly. So one of the things that came up when we were talking also was, I guess you'd say like a mass passivity. And in talking about that, we were looking at the ways in which we had subconsciously been very passive and hadn't really realized that was going on, and that this uprooting of the mass personality and how that's going to affect us each individually, going into that passivity and that kind of getting uprooted and what that might feel like as it leaves us, and also what the benefits of that having left us will be, what we might experience that after the fact. So that is an interesting concept to put on your plate for you to kind of ponder too, and see if that is alive and well inside of you. That's something that you might be wanting to overcome at this period of time. And the mass passivity would be where you really could be doing more, but there are all kinds of excuses that you allow to stop you from doing that, especially when it moves in the direction of it requiring greater confidence on yourself. That attitude of the little human kind of being put down and kept under programming and believing in that I am just a small thing and can't really do much is what that passivity thing is that we're talking about. So just to put that idea out there.
And then next to that also the active and passive working with the senses. And of course we still need to get more information on that, but it's still, also that is still passive, the use of the senses.
So does anybody have any experiences since listening to the Zebulon channeling that they would like to share? That was highly recommended as a way of all of this coming to pass. So apparently there is some strength in us coming together and sharing these stories to strengthen everything. So
and to keep it alive.
Exactly. So I would encourage you to not be in passivity and put your name up there with your sharing. Don't be shy.
And again, if you want to call in, let's try. Maybe it's going to work.
Absolutely. And so are any questions that anyone would have that is in regards to the Zebulon channeling? I know Ambika was saying that when we first listened to it, there was, I know I completely missed the whole really kind of that offer that was made available to us. And on the second listen, and it was probably several hours before we went back to re-listen, maybe even the next day. I don't remember. It all runs together now anymore.
No, I think we listened to it back to back, basically.
Yeah. So Jeshua could hear it.
Yeah.
And I was quite surprised. I know we were laughing at ourselves because when we closed after the channeling, of course it was pre-recorded, but we closed after the channeling, and we were really not in a very talkative mood, but couldn't figure out why. We went ahead and pushed through that. And when we re-listened, and it was like, oh wow, where was I? We were kind of, I know I kind of zoned out here and there while listening to it. And sometimes when the information is a little bit heavy or could be a little bit frustrating or something, I'll tend to do that. But on listening to it the second time, we were really pretty well blown away by what was being proposed.
Yeah, definitely, because it's a beautiful chant that probably all of us have created together with them.
And a wonderful opportunity for each individual. But I'll also say, if we can come together with this thing, really putting our effort into it, I would doubt very much so if I'm wrong in making this statement, and that is the more of us that are actually working on this in a vigilant way, the more of this that may get lifted. Definitely. So that as we move deeper, and I mean, it keeps being said over and over again that the whatever's left, and the more we move into this, the more intense the discomfort's going to be. So. And
he did basically say it was a possibility, but we still have to make it happen.
Exactly.
All of us together.
Exactly. So that would be wonderful. So what I'm going to do now, I have a passage which I'm going to share, and since there aren't any comments that we can jump on at this point, so I'm going to share from, it is a book called Masters in the New Energy, Adamus St. Germain. It is through Crimson Circle Press, and the chapter is The Unknown. And I thought it might be helpful to share what is in here. It's just a bit of a different way of expressing the same idea of part of what Bree is talking about and Zebulon is talking about, and finding that place where it's easy for those of you out there that are having difficulty finding your way back to a place of connecting with spirit or a state, getting back into a state of consciousness, however you want to refer to it. We all know exactly where that spot has been. We've hit it a time or two, but getting to be more effective and moving back away from personality and back into the space under the umbrella of safety quickly. But this chapter is called The Unknown. And so I'm going to read and maybe just kind of discuss as we go until we see somebody that has some kind of a comment or a question or something that they can put. So we'll be watching the board. So So the unknown. The master allows themselves to experience, truly experience, what is called the unknown or the unsaid. You have this concept of God, of spirit, and it is a concept that has now, with religions and belief systems, become very diluted and human-like. And I'm going to stop here because this is one thing that I know we have all gotten tripped up, and when we have gotten a little too gripped by personality, how unbelievably effective it is in copying our essence and feeding it back to us, and how absolutely real it feels that we are in a state of consciousness and we're just kind of trapped, and it's like, where do we go? So this is quite true in that it becomes very human-like. And I know here it's talking in regards to God or spirit, and it becoming very human-like. The belief systems, of course, coming from personality. So I'll continue on. In the truest sense, you cannot say or define spirit. And certainly we can define personality. Oh. It can be very elusive. It can be very devious in how it will reinvent itself, but we can identify it. In some of the old religious documents, it is called the unknown, or the 4 words that cannot be said. And many interpreted this to mean that one was not allowed to utter the words or the name of God. But what was really meant is that there is no way for the human to actually understand or try to define God or spirit. It just is. And that would make sense, since we have been going through this period of defining the non-self, and the non-self would actually be everything that is not akin to our being God. So it would make sense that we have been unable to define it. It's not, we are in the process of defining ourselves through the various dimensions that we travel through, and so that would make sense. Okay. So you could spend lifetimes trying to write about what spirit is, what God is, what Jehovah is. You could try to define it to another person, but then it's just your own concept coming from the human mind. It just is. The master learns to not to try to define this thing, this name that cannot even be said, but rather to experience it in their life. It is you. It is within you. It is within all things as well. But more than anything, it is uniquely within you. To experience what cannot be said, to experience the spirit, and we don't even like to use that word, requires utmost trust in yourself. To allow that essence of your own God self to come through requires total and implicit trust in self. And I'm going to stop here to make a comment that is part of the effectiveness of the personality to keep us veiled, if you will, from what the truth of ourselves is, and that it keeps ourselves from seeing ourselves. It's like a big wall, whereas we're moving into an area where we want to get in front of a mirror, and so that everything that we see is reflecting ourselves back to us. But what we have been doing thus far has been seeing everything and seeing what we are not. And the personality has been incredibly useful for that, but that has come to an end with those that are ready for it to come to an end, and is coming to an end even for those that are not ready. So I will continue. It is a God self that you're not trying to define, you're not trying to label, you're not trying to put into human terms. It is a pure and simple experience. And I know that's one thing that has been helpful to me here of late. I guess it's been a few weeks back, and I had a pretty deep spell in letting a big chunk of personality go, where I really went down to the bottom of the pit, to that I am worthless, I shouldn't even be breathing air. You know, the very fact that I'm taking up space is such a waste, and really went to that place that you don't want to go. And one of the things that I found myself doing that was keeping me kind of wrapped up in personality was things that were undefinable, really trying to define them rather than accepting the mystery and accepting the unknown as something that could be seen as fun to explore rather than the comfort of the familiar.
It's what Kutumi said, basically. If I know where I'm going, I don't want to go.
Exactly. So I will continue. It is a pure and simple experience. So let's take a moment here in this very safe space to not think about what God is or isn't, to not even try to put your mental arms around terms like omnipotent or omnipresent or any of these other things, and just be so trusting in yourself that you can just experience it. So this is why I had selected this, and there's so many things trying to get us to that spot so we can move into imagination or we can move into nonlinearity. So looking at finding that place. So let's take a moment now and take a deep breath. The master understands that they are experiencing it right now. It is only the human who says, but I feel nothing. I'm experiencing nothing. I expected lightning bolts or the lights to flicker or maybe a voice in my head. Oh, Shambra, that is when you try to make it so complex and try to define it in your human terms when you think you need to have something like drama or something that touches your current human senses. But you are experiencing what cannot be said or defined. You are experiencing this grandness of spirit right now. For a brief moment, you let this essence of all essences come right into your body, come right into your mind, into your soul, and you see it doesn't need to yell or scream. It doesn't need to create some sort of dramatic impact. It doesn't need to make your body hot or cold. It just is. Humans have been searching for this complex or dramatic type of God for a long time. They have been searching for some outside being who is going to come in and solve all their problems, but they will never find this God. And I'm going to stop here for just a moment to express that is one of the things that I have gotten from Bree time and time again. I've noticed that to my own self, for lack of a better way of putting it, to my own self, I have felt some of the exercises seem a bit vague to me when she's saying how to get to that place or this is, but what I keep getting from her is that there is no right or wrong. No. It's very personal, and each person in working with it, if they can remain in trust, that they will find it. This is information that is not using the mind and it is not using linearity, and that's why we can feel a little bit lost with it, which would be the same thing with the whole experience of our God self or the divinity within ourselves. We sometimes think that it's going to be as loud and noisy as the personality, when actually it's a very, very soft whisper type thing that only gets stronger the more that we start to pay attention and focus on it rather than the personality. So I just thought I would share that for anybody that was having that kind of thing, like, you know, there is no step 1, step 2, step 3. That would be a linear way of approaching this. So it's a matter of just kind of moving into it and trusting that you are absorbing what you need to absorb and that it will click into place at just the right time if you keep working with it. So I shall continue.
There is a lot of questions.
Oh, okay, good. Well, we can stop and take some questions and continue later. Those.
They're asking what the essence is of the messages of Zebulon and Ziona. Well, I'll first go to the ones we did in September. Zebulon was back then basically giving us the idea about how Pioneers College was going to be without the walls and without the restrictions and all of that. And I especially liked Ziona's channeling because she's she's putting in everything in such a beautiful art way, which is very close to reimagination things, of course. She was talking about you have all these experiences. How you can look at the things you do is that your canvas is what happens, the colors is who it happens with, but how you experience it, how you feel it, that is how you make the painting, how you are gonna fill it in. And hearing that for me was a beautiful way to hear how you can work with that.
Yeah, that had a strong impact on you.
Yeah.
And it's a wonderful tool to keep in mind to change your perspective.
I'm going to see if there is more questions. Yes, Iona is the heart. That's right. I know Jump and Bee have been there with Iona and Zebulon, and they've been giving gifts and all of that. And that is so. I feel so connected to when they go, because it kind of still feels like a little bit like our mountains.
Yes.
And they're just so beautiful.
And I know there's something here in regards to timelessness, which I think that would be a good thing to approach right now, since finding that experience that's nonlinear would absolutely go into the idea of timelessness. Now, I will be the first to admit that I would not call myself an expert on the information of time and how it applies to everything that is happening right now. But I can talk about it, I think, a little bit to shed a little bit of light that might be helpful to somebody out there. And that, of course, timelessness can be, and I'm going to just share only my opinion on this. I'm not going to state it as fact, but my opinion from where I sit right now as a human being going through the ascension process is the beginning of moving into timelessness is to start to give up everything that keeps you locked into the idea of time. So anything that you can start moving away from using clocks, watches, if you have the luxury of really not scheduling things as much as possible. So that would be step one. Now, we also have things on a physical scale within the cosmos, say, that is going on, that is affecting time and having an impact on us also, as we're moving into time acceleration. And I know that we have experienced the days getting really noticeably short.
There has been 2 days in between where I felt a little bit longer, but after that it just was gone before you knew it. I mean, we got up and we drank coffee and we talked, and before you know it, it's dark again.
Yeah. So the time is going to accelerate to such an extent that it actually ends up not being time at all. It will go into stillness. Much the way if something moves fast enough, it can give the impression that it's actually not moving at all. So,
and next to that, timelessness for me is especially being in that now, and at that moment not being focused on clocks and all of that. Other things that we've been doing kind of naturally is turn around the sleeping pattern so that we don't use the same time patterns as everyone else does. And that too gives a real big opportunity to grow above time, basically, because it's really, the more you focus on it, the more you create this,
and the whole three-dimensional reality comes with it. So, and for Cindy, she's noticed in the last few days most of her disattachment to personality is more of a releasing of buried fears, and trust is what she's learning. And absolutely, it's this whole dislodging and letting go of the personality. We are choosing to see it as a parasite, because that kind of gives us a bit more of a gutsier attitude toward it, I guess you would. Of course, it's not a monster once we move beyond it, but right now it serves us to see it more in that vein, so that pulling away from it, there's a little bit more of a sense of will, I guess you'd say, so that it's like, get away from me.
Yeah.
And then the inner workings there, it's just a fascinating thing that we're finding as any one of us starts to see something come up, and we bring it up for discussion for everybody to observe and help each one get out beyond it as quickly as possible. So, yeah, it is trust, but it is also, at the base, it is fear. Guilt and fear is the whole machine and anywhere that it's coming from. The other thing I want to remind everyone of is something that we have been reminded of several times, and that is don't mess around with it. Don't try to analyze it. Don't try to explore it. It does not matter where the emotion is coming from. If you get entrenched in the emotion, if you can pull out of that even, all the better, because the emotion is just attached to the personality and it's just trying to drag you down deeper. But if you are already in emotion, I'm not saying to stuff it. Let it flow through if you're in an observer, or get someone that can help you to stay in an observer state. But just it's enough to just recognize that it's personality and walk away. Just get away as quickly and as easily as you can. There's no need to go back and process.
No. I do have to say that I think it is handy, at least that's something I realized for myself today, that it's like there is this one sentence that always can pull you in. And I think for myself, knowing that little voice that always can pull me in, that could make me stronger, that will make me stronger in those moments.
Yes, and there's a comment here that Ziona's first channel has clues or keys to how to move out of the timeline also. And there was a really great exercise that was at the end of that one where she works with you on that and moving beyond the vibration and linearity of the exercise she did, which is really good. But she does, you are correct, she does actually state that the way, I mean, we keep recreating this thing by staying in the past, but when we go to the future, we've got that past attached to it because we're going to the future, obviously, from personality, because it's the only aspect of ourselves that we would go to the future with. So if you're in the future, know right there you're in personality. If you're in the past, know right there that you're in personality. But when you're in the future, you're taking that past with you, and you're re-imprinting that future with everything about your past that you did not want, and you're completely unaware that you're doing that, but that's what's happening. So
I see someone saying, I've had dreams with many faces, aspect, personalities of me and others in it. I'm in a steady state of observing my personality from the inside. Well, that's really good that you're experiencing all of those other aspects, I would say, other lifetimes maybe, because that is what they have been telling us. Because of the soul, everything is coming back to you. And like I said before as well, it doesn't even mean that everything that you experience has been a real life you have experienced, but it's just integrating all of it because, as Cthulhu said it, you co-created all of this, so you are part of all of it.
And another thing that we are always saying to each other, to try to keep our attitude in one of neutrality, and that is that it is the personality. It is not who we. That is not who we are.
No.
That is personality. So you don't want to identify with it in any way whatsoever. So, do we have, what is, I can't read on that one, yeah.
Well, it looks like Russia is really here. I'm having a little bit difficulty with the message board here, so sorry. Maybe this works better.
Yeah. So does any
Yeah, I see Suzanne say, I agree with what you say about time, but in 3D it's more difficult if you have a family and everything else. Yeah, I know, and that's
the dilemma. I mean, it's like you can't stay in three-dimensional reality because then you're in three-dimensional reality. In order to go into what is coming next, to move into that, and it's not a place that we're going to, it is a way of existing.
Mm-hmm.
So you within yourself have to start changing everything that you have, well, maybe not everything, but it will seem like everything and then more.
I think that already feels confining there if you have to watch a lot of other things and people who you've been in a relationship all the time.
And it does go against the grain of 99% of what's out there currently because everything is functioning still as three-dimensional reality. But the only way to move beyond that is to begin to cut out as much as you can, whatever you can. Eventually, in order to make that leap, and everybody's going to do it eventually, you're going to have to leave it entirely. So, you have to choose which way you're going to live. And it really is. It's which way are you going to live. Because to do anything from one is to, it just reconstructs the whole program for you.
Here is a question. Someone is asking, so are the folks that are taking advantage of the 20th thingy going to leave, or are they going to ascend and stay here in Ascension, I guess? Well, I think it's a step towards it, but it's not the real deal yet.
Right, and with that, I would want to say, too, I don't think anybody is here that isn't, well, I mean, you never know. But no, I don't think anybody, overall, let's just say, no one is here intending to leave to go anywhere.
No, it's all going to happen here.
This is where you want to be. Yes. You don't want to go anywhere because this is going to be the grandest experience.
Definitely.
I mean, just the grandest experience.
And I know Zebulon has been talking about people who already would go maybe in June, July to different dimensions, but that's still
within your and it's still
it's really an intention.
Yes, definitely. So and
it's so cool to see that the people in Russia are working so hard.
Yes. So any other?
I'm checking the board.
Shall I read just another paragraph or so until we have something come up? I'll do that.
Okay.
So I shall continue with the reading. And it was in regards to the essence, our soul, spirit, however you want, God, source, creator, being difficult maybe, or a little more difficult at least than personality to distinguish. It's a bit quieter. It's not yelling and screaming, not bringing drama and putting it in our lap. So I shall continue. The Master understands that the experience of the unknown, the unsaid, is always there. It is a deep and still pool. It is calm. It is quiet. It doesn't carry the attributes that you would typically associate with any human behavior or human identity. It is so pure that it goes unnoticed by all but the true Master. The Master understands that it simply is. And the Master understands that experiencing it means simply allowing it into their reality, participating with it with no expectations. And I think that's where some of the, like this Zebulon exercise and the thing that we're working on, trying to find that place of nonlinearity for that moment. I know some of Bree's exercises, it seems to be coming up, and it looks like they're really coming up with as many ways as they can think of in a nonlinear fashion
and imagination.
to help us find this this place of being, this thing that cannot be defined, this place that is so quiet and still. So if you just keep working with everything, if there is any frustration in getting there, but I know there are many of you that are able to tap into that spot, but for those that aren't, I know we've had a few emails, so I just want to address that. So do we have anything that has come up yet?
Well, what I still wanted to say is about what you just said about the non-linearity.
I don't know if any of you should bringing that up. There was in the Zebulon channeling, we had a really good laugh with the numerology.
Yeah. But I was going to say, they really said that imagination is non-linearity, and that already means that if you can go there, you're taking yourself out of everything that is defining you. Then you're automatically in the good space. Then you're automatically out of that confinement where you don't want to be in anymore. And I don't know if you've seen the website yesterday or today, but there is also a new beautiful page. At least I like that page a lot. That's Cosmic Creation. And if you go there, you already feel that energy of play and art and imagination, and I really like that.
And we have a question on the board wanting to have some insight in regards to Zebulon's message on the 13th to the 20th of May. And we have covered that a bit, so you might want to, after the show is over and it's available, go back to listen to the early part of this broadcast because it is covered. But just very quickly, and for anybody else that hasn't, I'll try to put it very succinctly as how we're taking it in. From the 13th of May until the 20th of May, we have an opportunity as both individuals as well as collectively. There is the mass personality is how he referred to it, is in the process or has the opportunity of being lifted from humanity, from Earth, which is quite a big deal. And so on an individual level, we can let go of a lot of our own personality, and we say our own, there's just the personality, we experience it in a personal way, but of letting that go. And so we have an opportunity to get rid of what has been troublesome areas of ourselves very quickly. And so that's what's going on from the 13th until the 20th of May. And so
yeah, the baby dragon, isn't that cute?
Yeah, it is.
I'm looking for.
Well, I'll continue on for a moment. And okay.
You want to go into that?
Let's see. I can't do anything more. Oh, okay. We will address this for Carol. Yeshua's in human body and can't do anything more than we can, and that is true and not true.
Not true. Yeah. And the reason why it's like this is because he had to do this with all of us together. He had to take. Well, that's silly, but he had to be here to do it with all of us together.
Yes, and I kind of like the way that he has referred to himself before, and that is the master decoder. So if you look at the program as a program that's operating on a computer, and you can put a virus into the program and the whole system crashes. You know, in this case, the program running of personality and the situation with that, then good deal. You know, it may take some time, but also as coming in as human, this whole process has to be done by humanity, which means every choice is on an individual basis. This is not something that can be done for us. And it goes back to what happened during the time of Atlantis when a few people got hold of some real power and misused it, and things got out of hand, and part of the reason that we're sitting in the circumstances that we are in right now. We don't want that to happen again.
No.
So he is here fully fully incarnated as a human. The one thing that would make it a little bit different is that I would say, due to his skill at working through the things that we're working through, has got a higher state of consciousness than most would, which allows him to have access to information that I haven't quite unveiled myself to have access to.
No, I mean, and that's the same for me.
Yeah, I mean, he's like really good at reading energy. He's really, I mean, there's things that he can tap into, but in terms of physicality, he's just like everybody else. And he's having fun with personality, too.
Yes.
And it's fun to watch him sometimes.
I did see that Carol was responding to guest one. And guest one is asking, what does he teach you during the day? And actually, it's all based on the information anyway. Sometimes we expand on it a little bit.
Yes, and I would like to turn this around for a moment, because actually it is us teaching him, not him teaching us. This is the big mistake. I'm just joking. But it does actually occur from time to time. Okay, I'm gonna. You can, and when something comes up, just stop me. I'll continue reading. So, we go on. Sometimes humans want to measure energies or experiences. They want to try to define them in certain ways, but the Master allows themselves to experience the unknown deep within them without needing to define it. Take a deep breath now and allow yourself to experience what cannot be said. The essence of your own spirit is looking for a relationship with you in this reality. Oh, it has always been there, always been available to you, but it has been kept in other realities. It has been kept out of the human condition. Now, in this moment, it is looking for that relationship with you here in this reality, but it will be difficult to identify if you use the old means of trying to understand it. Your spirit truly, truly begs you to open up, to expand your energy and go beyond how you have understood or interpreted energies in the past. It truly asks you to go beyond the mind, beyond your current sensory perceptions. As you allow yourself to experience this unknown, the spirit, it will start becoming very known to you, again in ways that you will probably never be able to define in words. You will try to explain it to a friend, even to another Shambra, and you will seem to get all jumbled in your words because it just is. That is why the ancient ones said it is the name that cannot be said. It is the expression that cannot be defined. We don't even want to use the word spirit, for it goes beyond that, and the Master understands this. The Master allows themselves to experience this unknown every moment of every day.
But I was just, also because of this, but also because of what we have been talking about already, I want to remind everyone about the imagination of Bree again and how you can use that in so many situations. You can even, if you are faced with a situation, you can even start imagining about that and in what beautiful way things could turn out.
Yeah, and I will even comment, since you brought up Bree, in regards to using imagination. I know one of the last exercises was in regards to it not being fanciful thinking or wishful thinking versus imaginative, which is not thinking. And the difference is, one is in connection to consciousness, whereas the wishful thinking or the fanciful thinking is using mental energy. And you don't want to bring any mental energy into this, which are why the exercises may seem a bit vague or like you just kind of are taking a stab in the dark. But it's a direction to point you. This is, and she has explained to me as well as I think put it out too, where there is a level of personal responsibility in all of this and a trial and error of learning your inner world. Once you start to navigate there more, you become more familiar with that that terrain that's inside of you. So,
and she also says, even if you're not sure in the beginning, it's imagination. Just continue doing it.
Yeah.
Because if you keep focusing on imagination,
you will get to it.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
I saw a question about someone was hearing rings in her ears or his ears. I don't know. That's something that we have not experienced. But what I would want to tell you is try to focus on it, and maybe you're going to even hear more than the ringing. Maybe if you consciously start to, or from the heart or whatever, start to listen to that, maybe it invites you to be more active with your sense of hearing.
Yes, because all of the senses are potentially getting bumped up a notch.
Yes,
so
yes.
Everyone may experience, it may be eyesight, it may be hearing, it could be taste, but any changes in regards to that is probably going to be normal, and it's going to be because of your vibrations and
being changed.
Yeah.
And I think everyone has a specific, we have been talking especially about eyesight and taste buds for us that have been the strangest, have been the changes. But I think that if for someone who is more sensitive to hearing, I can definitely see that that it would come in through the ears.
Right.
Okay, silence. We're looking at the board now.
And there was a comment, creating with old energy is creating control, more control. And that would be because creating with old energy has involved personality. It's involved our not having access to the total picture of who and what we are. And that was designed, set up perfectly in order for us to be totally enmeshed here to discover or to define the non-self, which would be the opposite of what we are, which is creator, which is source.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be the reason for the control to be there, because it's part of the whole non-self reality.
Oh, I see more people telling about the ringing in the ear. So now we definitely know it's part of the thing.
There's a lot of different things going on with the senses.
I have been going through strange things too with my ears, but it was more the computer who was playing tricks on me. There was this one time I was listening to the I Am activation, and Shalaleya page was open too, so it started to talk stereo to me. But that's different than what you're talking about right now, of course. Elisa is saying, imagination, it's hard to do quickly in the moment. Didn't used to be this way. Are you guys experiencing the same? And I think that's the practice of it, because if you start doing it, it will be way easier to do it in every moment.
Right, eventually. And it's going to be, I know there will be one posted in the next day or so that the next exercise I already have. So it's just got to be, I think, still put on the website. But Bree is discussing that it may be frustrating and it may be confusing, it may be challenging, mainly because it's frustrating, and it's frustrating which frustration is coming from the personality, the mental energy, because it can't really get involved in these exercises the way that it's normally used to doing. They've been designed to keep the personality and the mental energy out as much as possible, so that you're actually going into this area coming from the right place, if you will.
Carol is saying that it's sometimes difficult to really defer what it is, but just keep going with it.
Keep going with it. This will all, you need to stay in trust and continue to and practice. Even if you don't feel that you're using imagination, just continue to do the practice exercises, however order, whatever. You may want to do one for 2 months, and then, however you want to do them. There's no right or wrong in terms of the order or how long you stay with one before moving to another, any of that kind of thing. It's up to you entirely.
And it's very true that the reason why it's not there fully is we all have had it, but it's through all the programmation and everything put down by everyone.
Absolutely. The imagination is basically, it's kind of like your ticket into, or can be, a ticket into this, the chaotic spectacular that Zebulon is talking about, as well as the whole thing of getting more into that inner world.
Yeah.
So, and also it has a great effect on practicing the imagination. It has a great effect on the neocortex and the pineal gland too. So that it starts to get that up and going more.
And it changes the neurosynaptic pathway. Mm-hmm. So it has really a lot of good things. So it's really good to work with it.
Yeah, and another thing that Bree shared with me the other night was that
it's a ticket to ride, definitely.
Yeah, the imagination will activate or at least I can say, will help to activate your DNA. And I think that she made as bold a statement as that it does activate the DNA. So it's a good thing and she stresses over and over again, just keep going. You will find the rut in the road that then becomes a highway. So just keep going.
Yeah.
And keep the frustration out of the equation. You'll find it. But it has to be something that you find on your own without instruction, because everyone is different. So, do we have anything else?
Isn't imagination based on the structure of the Creator, so it's not in line with the Creator, just a product of it? Well, I would say you are the Creator.
Exactly, and imagination is one of the aspects in which creation actually occurs. Imagination is kind of the start of it all.
Yeah.
And it comes from divine inspiration, which is why you want to tap in so that divine inspiration can come through you, and then you engage and start going into imaginative exercises, which then give you all kinds of experiences. But where we're moving to with the quantum, imagination is kind of like it's going to be the activator, if you will, of going into a more real experience than what we are having, like I'm going to say, within our heads, within the brain mechanism, and within how we're doing it now. Once our DNA really kicks in and we really get the senses to operate the imagination along with that, it's going to have the sense of reality just like the three-dimensional one that we're existing in now. But it's going to be a process getting there. And
your neocortex is basically really your highway to it.
Well, highway. Bree had put that the imagination is like the highway, the neocortex is like the car that you get in to drive. So,
I saw Mary writing about what could happen in imagination, that's difficult for the mind to grasp, and I would say, yeah, that's definitely true. That's also why you should keep the mind out of it if you're going to do it. And even if you're going into it anyway, that you're going to leave the mind behind.
Yeah, the mind wants to get in, and we're used to learning that way.
Mm-hmm.
But we simply imagine it will not work. The mental, and I know the first, it was when the Ish channeling, the night that the Ish channeling was done. No, it was Lamoya's Guide to Introduction to Portality. I got very frustrated because I wanted to learn what he had to say, and I couldn't, and I got very frustrated. So I know if any of you are frustrated, I can appreciate what that's like, but I just kind of left it for a while and allow it to settle. The thing is and she's brought it, is to try not to use force just let yourself take it in however you do. If you don't get it, just keep coming back. Eventually it'll click in, and not to get frustrated.
I'm going to interrupt you here for a second. I think we have a special guest coming in.
Oh, look at there.
Hello. I'm going to give you a mic. Adamus. No? You sound so... You look so Adamus.
We never know who's showing up, guys. And this is another. I'm going to share this with you too, because we've had such trouble with the radio show and the sound on the radio show, etc. So the thing that Zebulon had said about being chaotic, the chaotic. So it was that's our excuse for our situation. We're part of the. What was the term he used? The chaotic...
Spectacular.
Yes, yeah, that's us. We are the chaotic spectacular.
Greeting.
Hello.
Well, first of all, I am Ekara, and I wish to